everyone. This is Brandon from Crimson Crescent Moon Reviews, here bringing you Undead Unluck Chapter 63, Who I Love So Much review. Let's see. The chapter begins where the last chapter left off, with Andy and Shen taking the attack from Shen, known as the Zuishin Tekon Rod Ryuenbu Fire Dragon Assault. They jumped in front of that attack to try and protect both Fuko and Mui, who were just, hanging off in the distance from the fight. And after the attack, Fang walks up to Shen, pulls the rod out of him, and, basically, mocks him for, like, "You're too soft. Like brother, like sister, you're such a spoil sport. You're such a soft person, And after that, Andy jumps at him with an attack he's preparing he calls it the Radius Bone Pile attack, in which the only way I can really describe it is he somehow pulls his bones back and fires them all out at once, like the entire bones in his arm, at Fang, which he dodges out of the way of at the last second. And then we see him reach up, and I thought this was a pretty cool looking scene. He reaches up and catches a bullet out of the air with his foot that was fired at him by Fuko with her little revolver. And yeah, as all this is happening, he's basically, it's like I said before, despair makes you stronger, referring to when Shen and his got his his sister killed. That set him on a path to make him stronger for revenge. It seems here that Andy and Fuko are getting really, really mad and pushing themselves to defeat Fang to avenge Shen. We then cut over to Shen, who is lying on the ground, with a giant gaping chest wound in him. He's basically joined the Donut Club like a lot of other anime characters have throughout the years. And all of a sudden, a vision of his sister appears in front of him, and all of a sudden it shows, a vision of him as well as a little kid, and he runs up and hugs her, and, starts, her name is, let's see, what is May, by the way. Yeah, her name is May. I don't know if it was revealed earlier in chapters or not, but, we learn now that her name is May. And, now he's basically apologizing to her for her death because he thinks, your death was all my fault. If I hadn't wanted to, track down Fang to become stronger and gain power, or if I hadn't taught you the Tetsu Zonko move, you would have never shown off your true strength, and, we never would have had to fight, and none of this would have happened, and you would have still been alive, But as he tells her that, she hugs him back and pretty much says, "No, Shen, when you taught me that move, I was happy because, I felt that I would be able to I'd be able to protect myself, and you wouldn't have to, spend all your time and strength trying to protect me, and I'd be able to protect myself for once without having to rely on you and your strength, so you'd be able to be free and not have to worry about me as much." But of course we learn, we know what happens after he taught her that technique. She had way more potential than anyone ever thought she would, and that caught the attention of Fang, and we know how the whole song and dance went. We learned it a few chapters ago. Fang versus Shen versus his sister May. I'm sorry, this is one of my first reviews, but anyways, yeah, Shen and his sister, had to fight, and basically Fang, discarded, and whoever was the loser, the weakest one. So Mei gets knocked off a cliff. Shen jumps over to grab her, and right at that moment, that's when his untruth ability awoke. Which, for those who don't know, his untruth ability basically it reverses the true meaning, like the truth behind any actions. So in this situation, when his ability activated for the first time, in his sister's mind, she wanted to, grab onto his arm and not let go. That was the truth of the situation. But since his ability is untruth, the exact opposite happened in her mind, and it inadvertently caused her to let go and fall to her death. Which Shen, thinks it's his fault for her death, but the way I see it, it was all Feng's fault, because he was the one that put them together, and he was the one that threw her off the cliff. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't, none of this would happen. So, I don't see where Shen is in the wrong for his sister's death. Yeah, and then we cut back to the vision of little Shen and his sister, and he's basically, it's like, I'll be joining you on the other side soon, because of what happened to me and everything. And she's like, no, Shen, you can't do that right now. There's something you still need to protect. And, of course, she is pointing over to Mui, who, as we see, is, cradling Shen's, dying body in her arms and, crying. Yeah, she then goes in to explain what happened after Shen, fought Fang the last time, and he lost. He basically started down on a path of revenge. Sort of like Fang himself would. Like it set him on a path that would have made him end up like Fang in the end. He's going and he just endless a cycle of fighting and hurting and hurting other people and getting hurt himself. But one day, as we find out, he comes across a little girl and her brother, who just so happens to turn out to be Mui and her younger brother. And, it's mentioned, like, he couldn't leave them alone, because they reminded him so much of him and his own sister back whenever they were that age. So, of course, from here we see he takes them in, they travel with him, he takes care of them. We see a scene where him and Mui are visiting a grave, and I want to say that's her brother's grave, because after this we never see or hear of him ever again, so I'd like to, assume that's her brother's grave. And we get scenes of them, just hanging out together, eating together, training together, joining the union together. And, eventually it says, over time, slowly but surely, she heals Shen's broken heart. And he is, the man we know and love today. The kind, gentle man who, would seemingly, put his life on the line for those he cares about right now, Let's see. And then we, cut back to the vision of little Shen and his sister, and there's a little bit of a comedic panel here where she's leaning up towards him and it's like, hey, Shen, you like Mui, don't you, huh? What's it like to be in love? And then Shen responds with, I don't deserve love, all the things I've done in my life, I don't deserve it, and plus, I'm already, pretty much dead, because of the giant gaping hole he has in his chest. But then his sister, of course, tells him again, like, you need to live and be happy for the both of us. And now there's still a way for him to live, which means he shouldn't give up hope. And that line there, got me curious. Like, how is Shen going to survive this? It seems through this chapter we see that he is going to survive this whole, wound he has, but how is he going to survive? That's one of the biggest questions I'd like to see answered in the next few chapters, which, obviously we'll get. I've got a few theories myself on how he's going to survive. I say a few chapters ago, whenever the fight with Shen and Feng first started, I noticed there was a little bag on the ground where Shen jumped up. Little bag that said life on it, and I was thinking, are those like, sort of like sensu beans, like from Dragon Ball? I mean, it's, because we had the whole thing with the extending pole and the cloud that he rides on, which is, from, of course, Dragon Ball and Journey to the West, Sun Wukong and all that. So, who knows? Maybe that might be how he survives this ordeal. Maybe somehow they get the time reversing artifact from Fang that he used on Repair. I think they said his name was Rip. He used that to heal him. I really have to go through and reread a lot of the early chapters for this series. I haven't read them in a long time. I really need to reread them and refresh myself from the series if I'm going to be doing reviews like this every week. But anyways, those are some of the ways I think he might be surviving this. But anyways, yeah, and then after that she basically starts fading away. It's, live on, be kind, be cool, be the older brother that I always loved when I was alive, and then she fades away. And then last scene of the chapter, we see Shen waking up, spitting up blood in Mui's arms, and he just looks at her with a big giant grin on his face, Mui, could you please be a dear and kill me? And that's where the chapter ends, so I wonder how that's going to pick up next chapter. Maybe that'll be maybe that's how he'll survive all this. Maybe, it'll be the untruth of the situation. He told her to kill him, so maybe that'll figure out some way for her to revive him or help him in that situation. I'm not sure, really, but anyways, thanks for watching my video. This is my very first ever chapter review, so it's probably not going to be that good. I mean, I've got my notes sitting right here on my computer beside me, and I've looked away at them back and forth constantly, multiple times throughout the video, so it's probably not the most professional video in the world, but, this is my first attempt at doing anything like this, actually serious, so who knows how this will go. I want to, try to get better and better at this as the weeks go on, and I, get more experience with this, but, anyways, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment below ways I could try to improve my videos, what I should do, take better notes. Maybe I should be rereading the whole series. I was thinking about maybe rereading the series and doing individual videos on each arc of the series, going through and reviewing them and talking about the things that have happened, for people who are just wanting to get into the series. Maybe they could watch those videos and try to help them, ease themselves into the series as a whole. But, anyways, those are all plans for the future, But, anyways, this is Brandon from Crimson Crescent Moon Reviews, signing off. See you next time.